I thought first I could kind of show you the studio. I've got my little selfie stick here, so hopefully I won't make you sick. But I'm Gina Melton from Cat 103.7, and I do the morning show on Cat 103.7. I've been doing it for a long time now. Love it. Always wanted to do this. I've always wanted to be in radio. I always tell kids when I go out and read to them that I've wanted to do this since I was in the 4th grade. So I'm kind of living my dream job of doing exactly what I want to do. I work with a gentleman named Steve Lundy, and we've been doing the show together, the morning show together, for 17 years. So, which is kind of unusual in radio, but to be together that long. But we absolutely love working together. And so that is why we've put up with each other for so long, or maybe I should say he's put up with me for so long. This where I am right now is in my office, but in a second here, I'll take you to the Cat Studio. We have 7 radio stations in our building that are all affiliated with Iheart Radio, and they range from KFAB to KGOR, KISS FM, El Patron, which is our Spanish station. We have Man Up. And then what have I forgotten here? Oh, and The Wolf, which is our sister station and plays more traditional country music. We have a good amount of really great people who work in our building. And one of the things I wanted to show you is our Cat Studio, just so you can kind of see. I don't know if any of those students in your class, Jodine, are involved in your radio station there. Do some of them?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
good.
we have
Okay.
a few. Mm-hmm.
Okay, and what system do you guys use there? What system do you guys use at the
In studio?
Yeah, at the MAB studio?
I'm going to let somebody answer that. I can tell you.
So we use Next Gen for on our monitors.
Okay, cool. And then what do you use for your editing and calls and things like that?
Adobe Audition.
Okay. Okay. And what about some of the production? Do you guys do production with your class? Like commercials and stuff?
Yes, we do.
Okay. And is that do you use Adobe Audition for your, okay. All right. Yep. So here's the good news. We use NextGen as well for our calls and things that we put on the air. We use a system called Vox Pro. And then for any production that we do, we use Cool Edit. And Cool Edit is super easy to use. It's probably very similar to Adobe Audition. But I'm going to turn the camera around here for a second and show you kind of what our what our studio looks like. Oops. All right. Good Lord. Well, how do oh, here it is. Okay, there we go. Sorry, I'm so not used to, I'm used to doing this on my, on my laptop, but I wanted to use my phone today so I could kind of take you around. So this is our Cat Studio. You can kind of see here. And since you're familiar with NextGen, I won't show you that, but this is our NextGen system that we use. And that's a lot of radio companies here in town use that. So that's really good that you guys are familiar with that. Oh, this is EJ, by the way. EJ is on in the afternoons. EJ, I'm doing a tour for UNO Radio 1 students.
Wow,
yeah,
that's a pretty big deal.
So EJ is our operations manager. He also does a show here in the afternoons on Cat 103. Is there any advice that you would give to?
I would use the term show loosely.
That's for sure.
I give you one to talk about some music. That's about it.
Is there any advice you would give to Radio 1 students?
Have fun.
Yeah.
Have fun. If you're not having fun, there's no reason to be doing it. So
very
that
true.
was it.
Okay, good. All right. Well, I'm going to let him get in here and do his
show,
his show, as we loosely term it. As I mentioned, we have 7 radio stations in this building. So one of those is KFAB, and this is kind of neat. I'll kind of show you the KFB Studio. Scott Voorhees is on the air right now doing his show. Let's see, there we go. Yep. So you can see he's pointing to us right now. And then Lucy Chapman is on the show with him. She does our traffic in the morning, our actual traffic, not like when I say traffic, is sometimes it can be confusing because we also have traffic in the sense of commercial traffic. So when I say traffic, I actually mean real live traffic in the morning. So I think that's pretty much it for the tour, because most of the studios look exactly alike. So if I took you in any of the others, they would look the same. So I'm just going to open it up for any questions that you have and see if you want to ask me anything.
I'll ask a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I sure can. What's your name?
My name is Max.
Hey, Max.
Hi. My question is, so about how early do you get into the studio for your job, and what are the first things you do in the morning? How do you get ready for work?
Oh, those are great questions. So I get up at 3. Our show starts at 5:30, so I get to the station about 4:30, 4:15 or 4:30. And the first thing I do when I get here is I start putting up everything that we are going to talk about on the air. We pre-plan our show, but when I say we pre-plan our show, very loosely pre-plan it. We just have an idea of what we're going to do. We have a show planner that we use, and it is, in fact, I can kind of show that to you. So that's the first thing I do is I pre-plan the show, and I put everything that we're going to talk about on the show up on our website. So when we refer to it, we like to say, you can go to our website at thecat.com to get more information. So for example, this morning, we did a story about how to be less stressed at Thanksgiving, and we put that story up on our blog. So that's the first thing I do. We always keep our show extremely loose, because if anything happens overnight and we want to change our show, we like to keep it very loose so that we can make those changes at any time. The other thing that I do is I do our social media for our show. So I start pre-planning our posts for like this tomorrow morning. We're going to have an Iheart Country world premiere of a new song from Cole Swindell and Lainey Wilson. So I start, putting some of that stuff up on our Instagram account, Twitter, and Facebook. And then I also prepare my 3 things you need to know. So that is kind of like a news segment of the show, but it's a very, it's like basically a local story, a national story, and then some type of fun kicker story. So those are the tasks that I do. It takes me that whole hour to get it done, even though I'm pretty fast with it. I think that social media is a great complement to any show that you're going to do. So, and so is the website. So that's why we do that. We make sure that we're, we're presenting our listeners with a lot of opportunities to see what we're all about. Let's see. And then the show starts at 5:30 and we're on the air till 10 o'clock. And then afterwards, I do a lot of stuff at the station. Like as I mentioned, I do our website, but I also do the websites for all the stations in the building. And then I help with the social media too. So some of the best skills that you can have these days, which is probably already something that you guys do, is to be able to do graphics, to be able to know a lot about social media and the best ways to get hits on your website. So those are 3 skills I would highly suggest you have if you want to get into the radio business. Does that answer your question, Max?
It does. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Does anyone else have a question?
Yeah, I have one.
Yeah.
Can you
What's
talk
your name?
about like before you got into the radio business, like any like internship experience you had or did before, like with like college radio or anything like that?
Yeah. So I actually went to UNO. I didn't do the radio station there, but I did work at Channel 6 and Channel 7. I did internships there in the production department. And then I started on the air when I was in college, and I didn't necessarily do an internship at the radio station. It just happened to be that I was in the right place at the right time. The woman who had the job before me, she quit because she didn't like the morning show host. And I walked in that day and filled out an application and just got the job. I was very, very lucky. But these days, the best way that you can get into the radio industry is to become a board op, which means you guys probably are familiar with that term, but I'll just explain just in case. A board op is somebody who is able to come in and run some of our shows, run the board when we're doing live broadcasts, things like that. But not just to be a board op, to be a super, super reliable go-to person for that. There's some people that we've had in the past, not now, but some people that we've had in the past that I'm just absolutely shocked that I know you guys probably have other jobs and stuff like that. It's a commuter campus, so it's a little bit different, but I'm shocked at how many people don't want to do the work. And that is the biggest roadblock to your career that you could possibly do. If you want to be in radio, you have to be ready and able to do whatever they ask you. You want to be that. I'm still the go-to person. Like after all these years, I like to be willing to do things. Like if they ask me if I want to do a live broadcast, I say, absolutely, I'll do it. If they say, can you go introduce a concert? I say, absolutely, I can go do it. I mean, very rarely do I say no to those things, but that's the way that you can make yourself invaluable, is by making yourself indispensable and learning everything. Like when I first got into the business, I wanted to learn everything that you could possibly do. So for example, say you wanted to work here. We don't have internships here anymore, but we do have some board op availabilities, I believe, right now. And I will check on that for sure and let Jodine know. But when you do that kind of thing, you want to say to the best person to ask for this is the program director. Say, hey, I know right now I'm board opping, but I would love to learn ABC. I would love to learn how to do this or that. Can I come in and watch you do your show? Can I come in and watch you do production and learn everything that you can? Because that is just going to make you, a well-rounded person, and they will recognize that. And a lot of people who've done that in the past have ended up getting full-time positions here at the radio station. So does that answer your question?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, great. And what's your name?
Austin.
Thanks, Austin.
Yep.
All right. Anyone else?
Gina, I'll just add to that in the fact that I'm using my mic and I don't think it's connected to my phone. So, but you've had some folks there come in and talk to my class, and the morning show host for KFB, Scott Voorhees.
Yes.
Slipped my mind for a second.
Yeah.
But he said there's nobody really on the bench. So he likes to go out and look for talent. And because there's just nobody there to sort of take the reins from him when he retires or moves on. And I think that is a huge deal, that we have so many awesome professionals in this community that are willing to just extend their hands to students that are eager to learn.
That's a great point, Jodine. And to be able to, I mean, if you can't get into to get a job at a radio station, I would start sending, direct messages to radio personalities on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and see if you can come in and watch their show. Just be like, I'm a radio student at UNO. I'm very interested in what you do there. Can I come in? People will really respect that because that means you're a go-getter, and Scott, I'm sure, I guess I can't speak for him, but he's kind of a rah kind of guy for new people in the industry. And so am I. So use this as a resource. Yeah. What else were you going to say, Jodine? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you didn't interrupt. That was perfect. And I'm not speaking for him either. He literally, they would come to one of our meetings to kind of do exactly that. So I think I told our students how awesome that this community is, supporting each other. So.
Yeah. And you know, a lot of people in this industry, Jodine, like Megan and all these people that are in the radio business. So, use Jodine's resources too. I think that's the thing. You just kind of gotta worm your way in there somehow, because there may not be a lot of positions open in radio right now, but you never know. You 100% never know. So you want to make yourself, kind of known that you want to work. You want to do that. You want to work there. You want to work in this industry. Yeah. Does anybody else have a question?
I'm scrolling through. I'm going to start calling on people, but I don't want to do that because it's really awkward. Jerome, how are you? You feeling okay, buddy?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah. I just
Yeah,
know
hi.
you're
Yeah,
not feeling
I'm
all
feeling
that
good.
well.
Good. Yeah, I'm a little better today. I guess
Oh,
I do
good.
have a question. Just I would ask, what was your best interview with a personality, musician, or just someone of interest?
Oh, that's a great question. We've had so many fun ones over the years. We do quite a few interviews with country music artists, and I would say the best one we've had, at least recently, was Old Dominion.
Nice.
Old Dominion is a really cool band. We got to interview the whole band, and normally they don't come in. They talk to us on the phone, but that's fine too. We had this epic interview with them where, in fact, you know what? I'm going to send Jodine a clip because I think you guys need to hear this. And it wasn't anything that we did necessarily. It was something that they said in response to a question that was super funny. So I'll send that to Jodine, and you can kind of hear that and see what you think. Coming up, speaking of interviews, coming up with really cool out of the box questions, doing a lot of research before interviews is super important, because I'm telling you, sometimes these artists do a radio tour and do let's say 15 interviews in one day, and they get asked the same questions over and over and over again. And when you can come with an out of the box question, if you can be a good interviewer, that will set you apart from everyone else. I've had my good interviews and I've had my bad interviews. My bad interviews are when I don't prepare for the interview, when I just kind of fly by the seat of my pants. The other interviews that I've had that haven't gone as well are interviews where I don't listen to what they're saying. Because you know how you're thinking of the next question in your mind?
Yeah.
That's where I've really missed some stuff. Where I thought, if I would have been listening to what they were saying instead of thinking of what I was going to say next, this would have been a much better interview. So those are just some tips when it comes to interviews. So does that answer your question, Jerome?
Yes, it does. Thank
Okay,
you.
good. You bet. No problem. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you go first,
going.
Joey.
All right. Sounds good. Just how long have you had this specific job at Iheart Radio?
So I have been here about 20 years, which is very unusual. I mentioned I started in college. My position has evolved over the years, so it's never gotten stale. I started out in the promotions department. I did a little segment on the morning show, and then it just kind of evolved from there. And that's a good thing. It's good to be well-rounded like that, to have a lot of different things that you've done at the station, so you understand everyone's perspective. The only thing I haven't done is sales, and that's, you know, something that I wouldn't be comfortable with. That I admire anybody who can do sales. But that's about when I started, was about 20 years ago. I can't believe it. It seems like yesterday sometimes, and I still love my job after all this time. Yeah. Is your name Joey? Is that right?
Yep.
Thanks, Joey. Any other questions?
Yeah. You do the morning show at Cat 103.7. That's
Yes.
a country station. So what's your favorite genre of music? Is it country or would it be something else?
You know what? I do love country, and that's probably my first love. It wasn't when I started. I wasn't a big fan. My grandma always listened to like Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers, and I wasn't a huge fan of the more traditional country music, but now I love it. But I like everything. I listen to KVNO a lot. I listen to 96.1 Kiss FM. I listen to our rock station. I mean, I listen to it all. I love all genres of music, but that's probably my favorite. You will find that country listeners are some of the most loyal listeners. They're really super loyal to the genre of music, but they're also loyal to the brand. They live the brand of country music. And it's important to know, like, we have a target listener that we talk to every morning, and her name is Jessica, and she's 32 years old. I'm looking at my thing right now. She's 32 years old. So we have a specific listener that we keep in mind for everything that we do. Now, that's not to say we don't talk about anything else. We talk about things that apply to men, to women, to kids, to, you know, people who are over 50, people who are under 20. So, but we keep that target listener in mind when we're doing our job. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think it does.
Okay, what's your name?
My name's Wyatt.
All right, Wyatt, thank you. A good country name. That's a good
Exactly.
country name. I love it. Anyone else?
For the target audience that you were talking about, like the Jessica, is that a made up person, or is that like how did you come up with that? If it is made up, or just like what research was involved? I was kind of
Great
curious about that.
question. That's a great question. It is a fictional person, but it is based off of the research that we've done at the radio station. So we know that our target listener makes a certain amount of money, drives a certain car. Let's see, what else can I tell you about her? Where she lives. And this is all based on research that we found, and that research has been pulled within our company. So I don't know if other radio stations do it. I'm just assuming they do, but you know, as you probably know, as you may have learned in class, our audience is very specific. I mean, a lot of people listen to country, but there's a specific audience that we really target because that's the majority of who listens to us. So that's where we got those numbers. It's based on research, and she is fictional, but she actually has a picture and everything. We actually have a picture with her. We keep it in the studio and filter the things that we do through that idea in our mind. Because the problem is, as you know, doing radio, you don't get to see the people who, unless you go out and do a live broadcast or you go to a concert, it's hard to imagine, you know, who's listening to you. So it's a good idea to get that kind of in your mind, or have that frame of mind of, oh, okay, this is who we're talking to, instead of just some random, you know, group of people. Yeah. What's your name?
Ben.
Thanks, Ben. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it was very interesting. I had no idea that was really a thing.
Yeah.
Kind of funny.
Yeah. Anyone else?
I'm looking here. Gina, you won't say this about yourself, but I do want to tell the students that you and Steve have had the #1 show in Arbitron now for, it still is Arbitron. No, it's Nielsen, isn't it?
It is Nielsen. Yeah.
Nielsen. It changed like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe now, but yeah. So, I mean, I know, again, like I said, you're going to be too humble about it, but you guys, that's really hard to do, and do it so consistently. So for the students, you know, to understand what that really means, we've talked about it in class. It typically means your salaries will go up. Your job is more steady, you know, because that's always kind of a fear, I think, of radio hosts. It's always kind of looming there, but you know, your numbers have looked really, really fantastic.
Thank you.
Absolutely. That's got to be kind of scary though, as well. I know when I worked in radio, some of the folks they'd literally throw up when the book was coming out. They would get so nervous. What is your outlook on, you know, those quarterly books?
Those quarterly books are our livelihood. And it's an antiquated way to, I hate to say that because we are very fortunate that we do well, but we work really hard to do that. I mean, it seems like it's all fun and games, but there's a lot that goes into it, into doing a show, a lot, and you have to work really hard. I think that it does allow you to make more money the more successful your show is. Not only that, but it allows our sales department to make more money, because the more successful we are, the better, the more people that want to advertise with us, because we have, you know, a good amount of listeners. And that can be a lot of pressure, but the good news is our bosses here take it with stride. We all want it to work. We all want to be successful. So the good news is we're all on the same page. And it's very interesting to look when it comes out. The things that you want to see are, what is your time spent listening? So how do people use you? What we found is that it's shocking how much, or how much people tune in and tune out. You know, you think that people listen to you all morning long. That's not the case. They're going to work, they're dropping kids off, they're doing other things. So that's one thing I've learned, that I'm like, wait a minute, I thought people were listening to us for like the whole morning, and that's not the case at all. So that's why whatever you do has to be super impactful, because you want people to come back and back again and back again. So the one good thing about being a successful show is you have a successful show. The one bad thing about a successful show is you have to stay at the top. So you have to keep doing the things that bring people back to the show. So that Nielsen is something that we live and breathe by, and it can really impact your salary, your sales department's ability to sell things, and you know, and all of those things. So it's a little stressful, but you know, we try to focus on just doing the best that we can, or better than we can, you know, I hate this term, but like giving 110% instead of, you know, 100%. You just really have to, like, there's a lot of competition, especially on the morning show. So you got to be locked up, you know, you got to have it. You got to have the chemistry and talk about what's interesting to people to keep them tuning in. So is that what you were looking for, Jody?
Yeah, no, that's perfect, because we don't talk a ton, and it's in the beginning of the semester too, about ratings and the importance of them, but they get it. Y'all get that, don't you? Because we talked about how important the morning show is, and then the afternoon drive, kind of talked about the order of sort of hierarchy in general in radio stations. I guess it's not always the case. You can find an exception here and there, but what else do y'all have? Because this is, y'all are really talented and just so in tune with this industry that I really want to hand it to you. We've got about 15 more minutes. This is your opportunity. I get to talk to Gina a lot and ask her questions all the time. So I could sit and talk to her again. But this is your time.
Well, Jodine, what I like about you and what I think is your real strong suit about teaching students in radio classes is that you know a lot of people in radio, and you don't just read a book or something like that. You actually have real connection with a lot of people in the industry and know a lot about the industry. So you guys are lucky to have her as a teacher, because she's really in tune with all that stuff. And instead of just, reading the, not knowing a lot about the industry, it's changed over the years. You're pretty immersed in it, I would say.
Well, thank you. But
yeah,
I'm a fangirl, man. I'm just such a fan of all the radio hosts here. So I love it.
There's some cool people in town, that's for sure.
Oh my God, there are. And you have so many kind people there at CAT. Okay, enough. I won't sit and talk and brag about the CAT, but y'all are so great.
Oh, thanks. Does anybody else have a question or
anything about social media? Because I think I've asked you that before, Gina, but I about Iheart, because I often put the Iheart app on and listen all day.
And yeah,
you're still getting, like, how does that work in terms of, because you're owned by Iheart. So how does that work though with ratings now? Because you can have people listening in New York on the Iheart app.
Yeah, right now they don't factor that in at all. But I'm imagining someday that's going to become a thing. What's cool about the Iheart Radio app is we have people like my dad who lives in North Carolina. He can listen to our show, or my sister who lives in Chicago. Those are the cool things about having that Iheart Radio app, and being a part of Iheart Radio is really cool. A big company. Sometimes people rail against the big companies, but we are so lucky because they provide us with so many resources. It's unreal. Like, we have a lot of things at our fingertips that a lot of other people don't have. So whereas people say, well, it's a big corporation, there's a lot of advantages to that. And as far as social media goes, that needs to be you need to come up with your own brand. If you're going to get into radio, you need to come up with your own brand, your own. One of the things I say to people is always be your authentic self. Don't be some other person, because people, especially of your age, will sniff that out and go, no, that's not my thing. So being authentic and doing your social media now, I always think about what I post, because companies will look at that. They'll look at, well, are they on Instagram a lot? Are they on Facebook a lot? Are they on Twitter? Are they on TikTok? What's your situation there? Do you know how to hashtag things? Do you know how to promote things? Could you be a great influencer? We do some influencing things here at the station, and that's something that I would highly suggest that you guys kind of research. And you probably know, I'm just imagining a lot of you are pretty savvy with that stuff and maybe know a lot of really cool Instagram pages or really cool TikTok pages, people that you look up to or people you think do a really good job. Those are all things to kind of keep in mind, because that's what companies, radio companies, are looking for these days. Somebody who has all of that. And it's definitely something to think about now, not just when you get into radio. You want that company to know that you're very well versed in social media. And if you know how to do website stuff, and like I said, graphics, you're golden, you're well-rounded. And companies will look at that. So yeah. What else? Anything?
I'm looking here.
I've got a thing actually. Going back to what you said about your 3 things, you do that every morning for your show.
Yes.
Where are some of your go-to places to find those 3 things?
Lots of places. We have the AP wire here, so that's one of the places. We have lots of prep services that we pull from. Let's see, people send me stuff. I mean, I pull from a lot of different places. It's good to be resourceful when it comes to that stuff. We also have KFAB, who's our news talk station here in the building, so I pull from some of their stuff. And my three things is, again, it's usually like a national story. So this morning, the big thing people are talking about is, well, there's a few big things. The Pfizer booster, that's hopefully going to be, everybody's going to be approved for with the FDA, the Rittenhouse case. So those would be things I'd use for the national news. Then the local news would be things that I get from KFAB. Then the kicker stories I get from usually from our prep services. And we have some really good prep services, and several. We have probably 3 or 4 that we pull from. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Anyone else?
Let me look at the time here. I think it's about, yeah, it's 10:40, almost 10:45. So we've
Okay.
taken up 45 minutes of your valuable time, and so appreciate it, Gina.
Of course.
I really just thank you so much for giving us a tour virtually of, you know, what the studios look like, because it really is such a neat environment. Hopefully soon we'll be able to, you know, be there in person, but you know,
Yeah.
for now, this is a pretty good substitute. There's been some cool things, you know, innovative wise that have come out of, you know, us working from home and you know, working via Zoom. So
Yeah. Well, if you guys have any questions, my email address is Gina at GINA@thecat.com. The cat spelled with a K. If you think of any questions that I didn't answer today, please feel free to email me, and I'm happy to get back to you about that. And I'll send Jodine that clip, so maybe she can share that with you in class. Okay.